Hello and welcome back to the Beta YouTube channel. Now, last video I did an entire breakdown of my investment portfolio for 2020 and going into 2021. Now, in this video, I want to talk about my top 3 favorite investment apps that I use to get to that point that you can see in the last video if you want to click down here. And as well, look at some of the other options that are out there to help you on your personal finance and investment journey. So whether you're a beginner or at a more experienced level, hopefully there's something from this video that's going to help you out. And there's timestamps linked below. So have a look through, see what's relevant to you, and let's get straight into it. Now, this video is from anyone from beginners to more intermediates, and we're going to be covering everything from investing in sort of general broad index funds all the way to cryptocurrencies. Now, the first thing is more UK specific that I'm going to be talking about in this video, and that is ISAs. Now, an ISA is an individual savings account and is essentially a tax wrapper each year that you get that you can put money into, and whatever pays off in terms of your investments, you get in return tax-free. Now, a lot of the apps that I'm going to talk about today have a stocks and shares ISA available, and it is important to know that you can only have one stocks and shares ISA with one provider per tax year. And so you can obviously swap your providers with your ISA and your stocks and shares ISA as well, but just know that you can only have one open at any one time. And important things to know with this is that you get £20,000 a year allowance on the amount that you can put into an ISA. So if you put money into the investment and you've put your £20,000 in and then you sell those shares and then you want to put back in, then you'd be going over your ISA allowance and you'd have to open something called a general investment account. Now, for the sake of time and for this video, I won't go into more specifics, but you can look up all these things online and it's very easy to read up on. The government has a section on their website where you can read and get more details than I'm giving you here. And the last bit of advice that I would give is to make sure that, any investment provider that you're looking at, make sure that they are FCA regulated, which is the Financial Conduct Authority here in the UK, making sure that they're abiding by all the regulations and restrictions, and also worth looking at if they are FSCS protected. And the last bit of advice that I'd give is with any investment provider that you're looking at, make sure that they're FCA regulated. This is the Financial Conduct Authority and makes sure that all these investment companies are abiding by the proper laws and regulations that have been put in place. And I would also check if they are FCSC, bit of a tongue twister, protected as well. And what this means is if a financial firm fails, you are protected on up to £85,000 of your funds. So if a brokerage collapses or something goes wrong, your money up to £85,000 is protected. Now, the first app I want to talk about is the first app that I got started with, and I love it. And this is called Nutmeg. Now, Nutmeg is essentially a robo-advisor app where you can put money in each month. You can choose a certain risk profile, so on a scale of 1 to 10, and this basically shows you a balance between what you invest in equities and other commodities and debt and other instruments that you can invest in to get diversified. Now, I love Nutmeg just because the user interface is so simple, there's not a lot of jargon, and it's really clear to see your progress so far. It's really easy to top up. You can do it by bank transfer or Apple Pay. Now, some of those apps, include things like Moneybox. I know plenty of friends that use this that have similar products to Nutmeg as well. There's also an app called Ticker, who I've plugged many times on this channel, and I sat down with the founder and recorded a podcast with, which is an impact investment app as well. So it's making sure that you can get financial returns as well as doing good, and they offer different portfolios for different sort of social causes. So Moneybox, Ticker are also great options that are in a similar sort of league as Nutmeg as well. Now, also one of the more standard way and probably more of the cost-effective ways of getting exposed to investing without investing a lot of time is by opening an ISA account with Vanguard as well. Now, this is also a popular strategy. Now, Vanguard is an asset management group which invests in loads of different equities across the world. So those are sort of the more basic apps that I would say are great to get started with if you don't want to put too much time. But like a lot of different hobbies, once you get started investing, you get hooked into it and you want to take a dive a bit more. And I would say at the moment, I'm still keeping a lot of my money that I'm investing in those kind of apps. There are roughly 75% of my investment portfolio is in my Nutmeg account, which is low risk, low management. I just leave it there to the side and don't think about it. But I've more recently increased my risk exposure to apps that I'm investing in more specifically. So I can choose specific individual stocks and get exposure to those more riskier bets. Now, I would say, coming into these sort of funds and these brokerages that I'm going to be talking about, they are more risky depending on the strategy you take, but as you become more experienced, there's definitely a place for them to be used in your portfolio. So the first app that I'm going to be talking about is Trading 212. Now, I opened a Trading 212 account several years ago when I was just sort of in school practicing around and having a play, and they have a great free section where you can set up a dummy portfolio, practice around, get used to investing in individual stocks and what that looks like and the emotions that come along with it, and then when you're ready you can make that switch. Now, Trading 212 also offers that option of opening a stocks and shares ISA. So if you want to invest in index funds and individual stocks all within Trading 212, you have that option as well where you're not going to be taxed. So that's also a really great choice. And so for me, it's been really fun to be able to have a more active strategy than the sort of robo-advisors, nutmegs, the wealthifys, those sort of apps. Now, I really like Trading 212 as well, just because of their user interface. I think similar to Nutmeg, I want a product that's easy to use where I can see my entire portfolio, I can look up stocks, I can do my research very simply. And Trading 212 has an excellent web portal as well as a mobile app. You can see a really clear breakdown of your portfolio allocation, and it's just really simple to use. And I think one of the big benefits, for Trading 212 and also the likes of Free Trade, which is another similar competitor, which also has a great platform similar to Trading 212, is that they're really low cost and it's a no fee structure. So, gone are the days of where you have to go to brokerages and every time you want to make a trade, it's going to cost you 10 or 15 pounds a pop. And when you're beginning investing, that's going to take up most of your profits. So it's really democratizing access to these investment opportunities. But there also still is the option of more traditional brokerages like Hargreaves Lansdown, which don't have an investment app yet, I think, but they have a web portal that you can use as well. But these will incur higher fees, but also likely more access to more non-traditional investments that might be up your street depending on what you're investing in and what you're researching in and your experience level. Now, the last topic that I want to talk about is cryptocurrency. And part of my investment strategy and portfolio in 2020 was investing a lot into Bitcoin and a little bit into some other coins. And it was by far my best performing asset. And going into 2021, I'm looking to double down on crypto, do more investment, more research around different coins as well, and put some more time into that. Now, if you've seen my last video, you would have seen that I use Revolut, which is also a banking app that have a bunch of different other services to buy Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of Revolut. Firstly, I suppose the biggest pro and the main reason that I used it was just the ease of access. It took me around about 10 minutes to set up an account. I transferred money from my Barclays account within a few minutes and I bought Bitcoin directly and I saw it there. So having that ease of access was really important to me, back in August last year, just because I wanted to get started. Now, the cons with Revolut is that you cannot take your Bitcoin or whatever other coins that you have outside of the wallet that you have in Revolut, which is a big downside, especially if you want to use your coins and transact with them, because essentially Revolut is just for holding them speculatively. So it's an investment, you're expecting the price to go up, you're not using them for their sort of intended purpose of transacting. Now, if you wanted to use other platforms and you wanted to go more secure with Bitcoin, I would suggest using platforms like Binance or Coinbase, where you can actually take your coins off the exchange and into something called a ledger, which is essentially a small little USB drive where you can store your Bitcoin and your other cryptocurrencies as well. This is a much more secure way because basically with Revolut, if they get attacked and my Bitcoin is stolen, I'm not FCS protected, and so all of my investment with Revolut and in Bitcoin would just go. So it is more risky. I trust that Revolut, as a huge company that's raised tens of millions of dollars, can protect it, but that's the risk that I'm willing to take. But you can be more secure by buying your own ledger and going through one of the main exchanges, and also getting some of the other benefits like being able to lend out your cryptocurrencies as well, which again comes with its risk, and there's probably much better videos out there that talk about it than what I am. So to wrap up the video, the three things that I want you to walk away with is understanding ISAs and investments and the tax benefits that you get there. The second is making sure that you're doing your due diligence on the platforms themselves, making sure that they're FCSC protected where they can be. Unfortunately, cryptocurrency can't be at the moment. And then the last part of that is choosing the apps that fit your goals the best. So whether you're a beginner and you just want an entry point, I think a thing like a Nutmeg or a Scalable Capital is the perfect option. Whereas if you want to be a bit more speculative or have a mix across your portfolio, is really look into other apps like Free Trade or Trading 212. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something. If there's anything specifically on personal finance or investing, entrepreneurship and startups, let me know. I'm going to be making more videos in the future. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll speak with you soon.